Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Infinity, and this is Magnetize Yourself, where we talk about life, love, spirituality, and of course, the law of attraction. I hope you've all been doing really well. I hope you're having a beautiful day so far. And happy solar eclipse, although I know that it technically happened yesterday as of when this video is being posted. I'm really curious to know if any of you have been feeling any shifts around this eclipse. And also, if you do happen to live in an area where it was visible. Personally, where I live and where I've been during this eclipse, I wasn't actually able to visibly perceive it at all, but I've definitely been feeling a lot of its effects, and I know that many of you have as well. So if you have anything to share related to that, of course, I would love to hear from you in the comments section. I always really enjoy reading through all of your comments, so a huge thank you to all of you who do take the time to share your insights or anything related to your life in the comments section. Now, I also have journaled a lot of downloads that I personally have been receiving around this solar eclipse. So throughout today's collective reading, I will most likely be referencing some of those notes, but I'm going to kind of allow them to come up organically. So I'm going to be utilizing the cards along with my own intuition to guide today's reading and to pick up on whatever messages want to come through around this solar eclipse that we've just experienced or any other energies that may be swirling in the air. So if you do want to contribute your energy in a stronger way, I do recommend liking the video and subscribing to the channel, as these are forms of energetic transference that do allow me to pick up more easily on your energy and channel more specifically for you and your situation. So the first thing that I want to share before I get into shuffling is something that I did write down that's coming up for me again here now. And what I wrote is, the shift has already happened and you're being asked to honor it. And this felt very much connected to the solar eclipse and the shifts that we've been experiencing around this astrological event. So what I'm picking up on here is there is this shift that has occurred within you. And the thing about this shift is, on some level, it feels like it's been very gradual, meaning it's been something that's gradually been happening behind the scenes that I feel you've been aware of on some level for quite some time. And it's involved your system, your energy body becoming lighter, becoming more finely tuned, and becoming more sensitive. And all of those things go hand in hand. But what I'm getting is, for a while this shift was still in process, you were able to kind of continue running some of the old systems from time to time, but it's become increasingly difficult for you to do that until now, as this shift has fully been crystallized or solidified, you're going to find immediate pushback from your own system, immediate resistance anytime you try to run a previous, more 3D based system that is more rooted in like control, rigidity, certainty, more linear in nature. Many of those programs that you used to run, and I know we're talking on a really quantum level here, so I hope that this is making sense to whoever this message is for. But I also know that many of you manifest through more of those quantum style messages. So thank you to those of you who do bring that kind of energy to this co-creative process of channeling these readings. But anyway, those old programs no longer work on your system. Just like if you upgrade a computer system, the previous programs that would have worked on an older, kind of clunkier more outdated system will no longer work on your operating system, not because something is inherently wrong with the program, but because it's no longer aligned with you at this level. New upgrades, new systems require new ways of thinking, new ways of emanating energy, and new ways of doing things, new perspectives. And so I feel that so much of your energetic work at this time, which, yes, the majority of whatever it is you are manifesting or creating is energetic work. It's happening in the energetic realm first. But I'm getting that the majority of that work has been centered around finding new ways to flow your own energy, new ways to perceive things. It's almost like you're unlocking these energy codes within yourself through these perspective shifts that are then allowing your new upgraded operating system to run more fluently, more seamlessly, and then you are manifesting more effortlessly because everything is in flow. But the old ways of doing things are no longer going to be working for you, meaning there may be ways in the past that you used to manifest, that you used to see results from or get some kind of initial boost or growth from. And these old systems are no longer going to work for you. Systems that were based in, again, like control. I'm hearing linear function, doing things like step by step. Often that's no longer going to work for you in the same way because the way that you are growing now is no longer as linear. And it's more like weaving a gigantic web that then continues to build upon itself. But every new level requires you to weave in all of those different comprehensive, integrative aspects of you, like a giant ecosystem, so to speak. There's no way with this new system to just focus entirely on one aspect at the neglect of all the other aspects and expect to see unlimited growth in that one aspect or area, because in this more 5D based system, everything is more integrative, everything is connected, and it's a holistic thing. It's a web that you're weaving. It's no longer a staircase that you're climbing one linear step at a time. Now you are going to notice that other people are still doing things the old way and seeing results from that. But they are quite literally living in different realities from you because they are running an entirely different operating system from you. You've been upgraded to a more 5D level, and yet you are still going to see through these glass walls, as Bashar refers to them as, others who are operating in an entirely different way on an entirely different system. But just like if you have a brand new computer system and old programs don't work on your computer, you aren't confused or bothered when you see other people running outdated systems where those old programs still work. You just recognize that they are not using your upgraded system and you are not using their outdated system. It's the same thing here. You can recognize that what works for you may not be comprehensible or understandable to someone who is still operating on an older system, a more outdated, more 3D based system. In fact, from a different perspective, if someone running an older system tried to integrate your upgraded programs, it would burn out their system. It wouldn't function on their system because they haven't gone through the training, the exercises, the growth to be able to ascend yet to this higher level where those higher systems would be operable. So this is really bringing up another point. And it's because we're talking about how your system has been upgraded. And yet at this upgraded level, while you can look back and see that you've come so far, you also most likely have this sense of restlessness for the next level. And I've been picking up very strongly on a collective that is feeling almost as though they are stuck. Or maybe this often marks your life, this feeling that once you get to a certain level, your soul is so restless for the next level that you may perceive yourself as being stuck in the current level. And so I want to skip ahead to what I wrote about this, but as I'm now referencing my notes, which you may hear me referencing my notes from time to time because so much information came through about the solar eclipse and so many powerful shifts that this collective is experiencing through this solar eclipse. By the way, for some reason, I'm feeling really guided to say this, although it's true of every reading. I don't always mention it verbally in every reading. But this reading is timeless. And so maybe I feel guided to say that because someone is finding it like weeks, months, years, or even decades down the road from when it's being posted. All of my readings are timeless, but especially this one. This feels very timeless in nature. In fact, I feel it's going to be finding many individuals perhaps long after it's been posted. So, okay, what I wrote down just to tie up what we were talking about there. Your system has become lighter. You can no longer tolerate lower density energies as easily. Anything that is not aligned is being cleared out. Your body will show you the way. And I also wrote deep rest and reset in all capital letters because I really felt like that needed to be emphasized. And I wrote, don't resist the rest. But it's interesting because, of course, there's the clear message. Don't resist giving your body the rest that it needs at this time, because I do feel that there's this deep reset taking place within you, and it's happening through allowing yourself the time and space to rest. I am definitely picking up that for many of you listening, you may be noticing that you are sleeping a lot more than usual, that you are resting a lot throughout the day. You may have periods of time where you just have to be like totally zoned out or reading or meditating, doing yoga, going for walks, again, sleeping, napping, maybe even just doing something that feels mindless for you, like watching Netflix or something like that. But I'm really getting that this is a time of deep rest for you. But I'm also picking up that you may be noticing that when you try to kind of shove yourself into productivity, when your body is calling you to rest, you are going to feel the immediate effects of like this burnout, and it's going to push you into even deeper rest. So there is really a need to follow the flow of your own energetic template right now, to listen to your body, to give yourself the rest that you need, and to allow that inspired energy to rise naturally, and to allow that to carry you into whatever actions that you choose to take, instead of trying to force that productivity out of yourself or force that motivation out of yourself. Because the way the energy is moving right now, especially for this collective, I'm getting that trying to force productivity is really going to burn you out. So yeah, I also wrote down, and this actually may be relating to this forcing productivity. It may be tempting to reach for, if I can speak, it may be tempting to reach for familiar control mechanisms out of fear, but your system will resist them, like trying to run an old computer program on an updated operating system. Yeah, and we spoke about that whole computer metaphor in depth, but I'm getting that at this time, as you feel yourself being called to deeper rest, as you feel as though you're almost like stuck in something, which my guides referred to kind of as like this sensory deprivation tank, metaphorically, which we'll get into in a second. But when you're feeling this way, it can be tempting at times to actually go back into trying to run some system that is like lower density. Not that it's negative, but it's a system that functions more in a linear way, that looks more like taking action and like getting things done on the surface, that may have worked for you in the past. So for example, in the kind of rest versus forced productivity instance, when you feel yourself being called to deep rest, you may notice old fears or worries surfacing, like, what if I start backsliding? What if I'm not doing enough? What if I start to see a decline in something because I'm not taking enough action right now? And that may tempt you to attempt to run this old program on your new system. So for example, it may tempt you to not listen to your body and to try and like push yourself into action anyway, or to attempt to like do things to get some kind of immediate result to like soothe that feeling of fear that you're going to be stuck here, or that you're going to backslide, or that you're not moving forward fast enough. But again, you're going to find that when you do this, you burn out even more intensely, meaning then your body is even more tired and you need even more time to rest, because you are really being pushed into this deep reset that's happening in your energetic system. And when you do flow forward, it's not going to come from a place of force. It's going to come from a place of clarity, alignment, and inspiration that organically generates the energy within you to fuel the action. And I feel like that is a major key coming through here. That moving forward in your life, the choices you make, the actions that you take, the things you create, they're going to be coming from this stable place of inner alignment. They're going to be coming from, well, now this is reminding me of something else I wrote down far later in my journal. Yeah, this stage, like what's happening right now through this shift, is reconnecting you with your inner guidance, not your inner pressure. So when you do take action, when you do feel motivated forward in the future, it's going to be coming from this space of, I'm hearing organic energy, meaning you are naturally going to feel the energy, the motivation, the inspiration rising up within you from a place of clarity, from a place of peace, from a place of alignment. And then the actions that you take in that energetic state are going to flow seamlessly. And not only are they not going to drain your energy or burn you out, but they're actually going to sustain your energy and replenish you. Like the action in and of itself is going to feel like a moving meditation for you. It's going to feel fulfilling for you instead of feeling like burnout or feeling draining. And I feel that in making this shift and accomplishing this shift within yourself, you are actually creating a new template and paradigm for the planetary collective consciousness as well, because we're shifting from hustle culture, from the idea that we have to force ourselves into action in order to see results. We're shifting from that mindset into having a regulated nervous system, establishing that state of peace within ourselves, creating the inner alignment, and then being inspired forward from that place. And that is the example that you are leading with at this time. But this requires so much trust of that process, because it is so different, not only from how you may have done things in the past when you were more in that 3D based operating system, state of being, but it's also very different from what most of the collective can comprehend at this time, although it is something the collective is shifting into. So yeah, I actually wrote down something right along these lines. Stillness requires bravery, but it's also where the transformation occurs. So I feel that for many of us at this time, we're being forced almost into this stillness. Forced into this, well, as I mentioned earlier, my guides were referring to it as a sensory deprivation tank. And it's funny because if you've ever done a sensory deprivation tank, you will know that it's almost like a physically induced meditation. Like when you're in a deep meditation and you have that feeling of floating, like you're kind of disconnecting from physical reality and connecting with the cosmos, connecting with your inner world, connecting with your higher self or spiritual realms. Being put in a sensory deprivation tank physically induces often that feeling of kind of like you're floating, like you're detaching from the physical world around you, because there's nothing to distract you. There's nothing to pull on your attention. And therefore it naturally draws your attention inward and allows you to like deeply reconnect internally. And in comparison, I feel that in more of a symbolic sense, we are being put in a sensory deprivation tank metaphorically at this time, where you may be noticing that past distractions that may have even given you like an artificial boost or a high or some kind of like hit of interaction, conversation, positive attention, you may notice that a lot of those things have been kind of temporarily blocked out. You may be noticing that people are not reaching out to you or connecting with you as much, or that maybe certain things or interactions or conversations that used to stimulate you now feel apathetic towards you, or you feel apathetic towards them, either way. But this is all pushing you inward. It's pushing you to this deep reset and reconnection with your inner self. And it's where the transformation is taking place. But it's also not a permanent phase, because again, when you emerge from this, there's going to be a more profound sense of clarity as to how to move forward in alignment, as to what your next steps are going to be, as to who has been really adding to your life genuinely and who has been draining you in some way. I'm feeling so much clarity coming out of this as you exit this kind of figurative sensory deprivation tank that you may feel yourself in at this time. What I literally wrote in my journal is external stimuli is being limited so you can connect with the formless. That's kind of how my guides referred to it, like the formlessness within yourself. And it's interesting because in connection with this, I wrote, don't long for classrooms you've already graduated from. And it kind of reminded me of that feeling that we get sometimes of being nostalgic for our childhood, but it's not really nostalgia for a specific environment we experienced in childhood or even necessarily specific people, but being able to see the world through the eyes of a child, being able to see the world from like that place of not necessarily knowing very much about like ourselves or about the world, and the kind of natural purity and innocence that comes with that. And I feel that there may be a similar feeling coming up for a certain group within the collective where you may be finding yourself longing for a past time in your life that may not necessarily be childhood. This could be a decade ago, or just like a past way you used to see the world, or a past perception that you had, or past belief systems, or whatever the case is for you. I'm hearing before my eyes were opened. That's what you might be saying to yourself. Like, I kind of feel nostalgic for the way I used to see the world before my eyes were opened. Maybe this was before you awoke spiritually. But what I'm getting is that you now have a new level of wisdom, knowledge, and experience. Your eyes have been opened to something. And there's no going back here. And so that's what I meant when I wrote, don't long for classrooms you've already graduated from, because they don't have anything to teach you anymore. And, this kind of segued me into a very specific thread of energy that was coming through. And it came through so strongly that I thought of mentioning it in the title of this video. So I may actually end up doing that. But what I wrote is, and I feel this is connecting with that feeling of nostalgia. This may be why you're feeling that way, because maybe this person or this energy that came back up in your life triggered that energy or triggered that like nostalgia within you. But what I wrote down is that there is an ambassador, but I also called this like a representative. In either case, you can refer to it either way, an ambassador or a representative from your past. But I thought the word representative was really interesting because it's like someone who represents your past. So yes, this may be a physical person that you have like a personal or interpersonal relationship or history with, but they hold an energy that is a representative of your past, that represents or connects with some kind of past version of you, or a past timeline, or a past like belief system, or something of that nature. There's something about them that represents your past. But with the word ambassador, the reason I liked both of these words is I feel ambassador kind of signals that this person is actually foreign to where you are now, or what your energy is now. It's almost like they don't belong in your current reality. in this current updated version of you, but they are like traveling to your reality as a representative from your past. And they're reminding you where you came from and maybe even triggering some of those feelings of longing or nostalgia, wishing that your eyes hadn't been open to something. I know this is like a very complex energy, so I'm not sure exactly how this is going to connect for you. And this doesn't have to be a person who's this ambassador or representative, by the way. This could be like something that occurred that triggered those nostalgic feelings. This could be an event. This could be a group, a belief system, an environment, whatever this is for you, but let's just refer to it as a person for ease of reference, and you can take it how it resonates for you. But what I wrote down is the last part of the chapter is when you choose not to re-enter it. And then just like a similar way of saying that, but from a different perspective, the final stage of healing is when the trigger reemerges and you no longer desire to give into it. So I feel that this person coming back into your life, it's very symbolic in a way because it's a sign of a chapter that's closing. And the sense that I'm getting is that they, yes, represent this past version of you or this past part of you, but it's almost like they know they do not belong in your new state of being. And so the sense I get about this person is they almost have this kind of hidden agenda because, and it may not even be so hidden, you may be aware of it, because I feel that they re-enter your life, making it seem as though they want to make peace or they want to make amends. But in actuality, they want to bring you back into that past timeline where the two of you were more connected. So it's like they're a representative or an ambassador of your past, but it's like their agenda that might be a little bit hidden or more subtle is that they want to take you back into that past timeline or version of yourself because they know that they cannot connect with you from the version of you that you are now. And I feel that for some reason, this actually may have created a lot of nostalgia within you because a part of you may feel, I'm hearing like reverent of this past timeline, or maybe you have an admiration or a softness, like a soft spot for this past version of you or this past timeline, but you also recognize how much you've grown and how that chapter has closed. And as I was really channeling into this concept of a chapter being closed, what I imagined is someone closing a really heavy, like old, dusty book. And when they close the book, like they slam it shut and there's this cloud of dust. And it's almost like the feelings that are being triggered are that cloud of dust after the chapter has closed. So it's like if you are feeling that nostalgia or that soft spot, what you're really feeling is the cloud of dust. It's interesting, the word dusk came out there. Maybe that's relevant to someone, but the cloud of dust that was generated when you closed the book, when you finished the chapter energetically. And what I also wrote down is you've created something new here that they don't understand or belong in. And I also wrote hidden power struggle because I almost feel that while they enter your life under the pretense of, or re-enter your life under the pretense of wanting to make peace or make amends or maybe tie up the past, I feel that the energy beneath the surface is a bit more tense, that there's almost like this energetic power struggle that they may not even be consciously aware of. And it feels like a struggle between your past and your emerging future. It's like your now, but your now is unfolding into the future, if that makes sense. That seems to be the power struggle here. You're feeling the dust settling from a closing chapter in the sensation of this nostalgia. And I feel that you know that. So everything I'm speaking here, this really feels like a confirmation of something that you've known on some level, which, by the way, I really do intend these readings to be confirmations of what you already know. And I'm feeling this like sadness or disappointment from this ambassador of your past or this representative, whatever you want to call it, because You are choosing yourself this time because you are not willing to go back into that past energy or that past timeline. And to be honest, I feel that you may be sensing some of that sadness within yourself as well. But the beautiful thing is here, I feel this is such a powerful sign of how much you've healed your relationship with your inner self, because you are no longer willing to compromise yourself to give in to someone else's agenda for you or for their connection with you. And that is, I almost feel that this whole kind of sequence that we've been channeling into here for whoever this is for, which, by the way, I feel this is one of those rare readings that will not be for everyone. So only take it if it resonates. But I really feel that part of why this is happening is to really solidify to you consciously how much you've grown and how far you've come. Now, we're kind of getting near where I usually will come to some kind of stopping or pausing point before we continue in the extended. I have so much more to say here. There's actually a couple more pages of notes, and I know we didn't even end up pulling a card because so many messages just wanted to flow through here. It was just one of those kinds of readings. So I really hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you enjoy this style of reading. I do like to mix it up from time to time. So some readings I like to lean more heavily on letting the cards guide the readings. And then in other readings, I really like to reference channeled notes that came through prior to the reading and then put it all together in kind of a flow state while we are doing the recording. So do let me know your thoughts on that underneath this video if you do have any thoughts that you feel guided to share. But I am going to pull one more card here. And, I really feel this reading is a complete thought in itself. So today for the extended reading, because you guys know I do channel 3 exclusive readings per week just for either Patreon or YouTube members. So I actually am going to have a totally different title for the extended. It's going to be a separate message, if you will. You could think of it like a part 2, but it's most likely going to be a totally different video and message, kind of like a standalone thing. So I will still leave a link to that so you can check it out if you're interested in that exclusive reading video. And I'll leave that link in the pinned comment and description box underneath this video. If you do choose to join either on Patreon or YouTube memberships, you get exclusive access to 3 readings that I do per week just for either Patreon or YouTube members. So yeah, the information for that is underneath this video if you feel guided to support and join there. And I'm going to go ahead and close this reading, this sort of part 1, if you will, with a Rumi oracle card, because I always feel like Rumi is a beautiful way to wrap up these readings. And the moment I flipped over this card, I got the biggest wave of goosebumps because this one feels not only powerful, but very relevant to everything we've been channeling into here. And the card is Beyond the Threshold of Fear. So I'm just going to go ahead and read a guidebook message here. Enter the lion's jungle. Don't think about getting hurt. Fearful thoughts are phantoms of the mind. No one is harmed in this jungle. Everything is compassion and love. It is your fear holding you back, like a bar behind the door. Rumi. And I feel like there is another message here in the guidebook that's going to be so powerful, but I'm going to take a quick sip of my coffee first. How I celebrate for you. After so long away from home, you are finally returning. Beyond the threshold of fear, you dispense with your doubts, hesitations, cautions, and tentativeness. They are old friends with whom you no longer have anything in common. Goodbye, old friends. I wish you well, you say, whilst turning your face to the burgeoning light of a new and yet ancient world. You are visiting as though for the first time, and yet somehow also remember deep in your sacred heart. Finally, we can sit together in the charming courtyard at home. We shall tell our tales of adventure and laugh, and will dance and sing Eventually, day shall pass into night, and we'll gaze beneath our feet, our mouths gaping wide open in awe, and minds utterly blank, rendered dumb in sweet submission to beauty as we watch the world spinning on her axis. After so long, you are changing your relationship to fear. No more shall it hold you in its thrall. You are becoming able to observe it, to witness it, even to have compassion rather than resistance, instead of unconsciously sabotaging your growth and choosing to slumber in darkness. You awaken and delight in the light and sound of your being. Push and pull, one step forward and a half step back. So it has been for so long, and yet you have endured. Yes, you are winning the race, brave one, and fear is left to fizzle out. It was always a far less beautiful firework than your passionate conviction for love anyway. Better to let that dazzling firework come to light instead. Much more satisfying. Oh, what a spiritual marathon you have been running. Now the end is in sight. Rest now before a new adventure begins from a completely different state of being. Wow, that is incredibly synchronistic with so many messages that we were talking about earlier in the reading. Even the concept of a spiritual marathon coming through is really interesting because we didn't get to it in my notes, but I actually spoke on how it felt as though you were just completing some kind of like spiritual, mental, or emotional marathon of some kind. And this is like the resting point right after that finish line before you continue on. And as Rumi said, before you continue in this new state of being, which is this new operating system we've been referencing throughout the reading. So that really does feel like a great way to tie everything up here. If you want to check out the extended reading that I am also doing today just for Patreon members and YouTube members, the link to that is underneath this video. But otherwise, I am sending you all huge amounts of love. Have an amazing remainder of your day and start to your week. And I will connect with you here again in Wednesday's collective reading.